Hello, good morning. So, I wanted to do the spiritual community a good service today, and I wanted to talk about how the experiences of being a psychic medium, and even an empath differs and is very different from being like a paranoid schizophrenic or either somebody with a type of mental illness that causes delusions and stuff. So first of all, I want to start this off by saying that um do I feel that schizophrenia, some cases of schizophrenia, do I feel that it can be caused by spiritual curses and stuff like that? Bad spirits, bad juju, maybe trauma brought up on by bad spirits? Absolutely. What I want to talk about is the experiences as well as symptoms. Okay. Uh, and what I want you guys to understand is that psychic mediums do not experience necessarily episodes or symptoms. More so, what we experience is something that we are quite familiar with. I'm sorry, guys. I was watching this movie and I don't want the movie to be drowning out my voice. What psychic mediums experience is something that we have experienced since we were babies. As far as our ability to either be able to read energy, to either see spirits, pick up on spirits, or to have these psychic visions. Okay. Um, and so I think that it has been very dangerous in the spiritual community. I think that it has led to people not necessarily getting the proper mental health assistance that they need. Um, I think that doesn't, like, if you have been diagnosed with schizophrenia, that doesn't count you out of the spiritual community or spiritual experiences because um but I do think that when it comes to something like schizophrenia, that is more so where the brain starts to disorder. And even when they do CAT scans of people that have schizophrenia, the brain looks different. It looks abnormal under a CAT scan. Um, but that does not mean that just because you are someone that is schizophrenic or bipolar or have been diagnosed with some other mental illness that you can't have spiritual experiences. I think that what the challenge is with that would be deferring the spiritual experiences that you think you may be having could be brought upon by this condition that you're dealing with. So I am one to say that when it is a mental illness that is happening, such as paranoid schizophrenia, or someone's having delusions or they are hallucinating, I do think that it is important to see a regular doctor, um, in addition to whatever spiritual work that you're working on, because it is extremely difficult to work with clients that have not been properly diagnosed or either refuse to face the facts that there is some kind of legitimate mental illness that has started happening. And basically, what a mental illness means is when the brain is sick on some level, the brain is ill. You may have grew up with trauma that has caused that particular disorder, And I think that it is important to, um, also seek the healing and the treatments from trusted doctors, in addition to the spiritual work that you're doing. Okay. Um, so here's the difference between uh, a schizophrenic episode versus being a psychic medium. Okay. A person that has a schizophrenic episode, they are experiencing loud auditory voices and hallucinations. And I've looked at a couple of simulation videos because I've actually questioned it myself. Of course I have, because I've had so much negativity and judgment. And so I've looked at schizophrenic episodes, as well as how it feels to be schizophrenic just on a daily basis and going out into the world. So if you guys want to check that out, you can. It is very scary. My heart does go out to anybody that's suffering from that illness. Do I feel like you can get better? I do feel that you can get better. I'm not the type of person that feels as though, once you've been diagnosed with something like that, does it have to last forever? But then again, I am not a doctor. So I can't say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of a miracle worker. I am a spiritual worker. Okay. So people with schizophrenia, they are literally hearing things like like but almost like like, for example, if I were to hear, um and sometimes I want to record it, which I have recorded it before, the animals that are up in the attic. Sometimes I have recorded, and I have it recorded somewhere, but when I hear stuff up there in that attic, and if I were to record it, or if I were to, for example, record a bird chirping outside, and I record it and I'm hearing the bird chirping, I record it and I upload it, you guys can hear it too. So we all know that I'm not imagining that happening. But with schizophrenics, they are actually imagining things happening that are not there, that literally are not happening. Do I believe that these are spiritual experiences? It is a possibility, but you got to understand that there's a difference between having a spiritual experience and being a psychic or a medium. Okay. When a person is a psychic or a medium, this is a person that has been in contact with spirits their whole life. So a lot of us that are psychic mediums, it doesn't freak us out. Now, another thing I want to get into, a psychic medium that is picking up on a spirit or either energy, or either they are having an experience to where they can see things. It is not a sort of like a, oh my god, this is happening, oh my god, I'm freaking out, oh my god. No, it's more of a inner knowing, and it's more of a quiet experience. It is not something that is loud and freakish. It's not like a freak show, and I'm not saying that schizophrenics are like a freak show, but it's not. For example, if someone were to take too much LSD or something, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's more of an inner knowing, to where you can sense things. And then also, psychic mediums do not hear auditorial hallucinations. We're not hearing that. It's not a loud hallucination. When schizophrenics describe hallucinating and having those hallucinations, They're hearing something very loud, screaming and shouting, and then various voices. I have been a psychic medium since my auntie first told me that I had the gift when I was 3 years old, when I was communicating with her deceased son. And I wasn't screaming, hollering, crying, even though those experiences could be had by a younger person. I was communicating with somebody that loved me very much when he was alive. And he um, was communicating with me after he passed away. So um, you don't hear it in a sense to where you actually hear it. Like if I were to be listening to music, or if I were to be listening to um, a movie or something, you don't hear it that way. You hear it more so through, it's like a sixth sense. It's not even really even being said in words. It's not necessarily words. It's more so just knowing, it's coded. Sometimes it is through actual vision. Sometimes it's actually through pictures, certain pictures that may pop up in our minds. I know that, especially, that's why I prefer to use the tarot cards, because I can read somebody inside and out based upon those tarot cards, especially if they are in a quiet place to where I can focus and I can concentrate. I can see all kinds of things. And this is one of the reasons why I prefer certain decks over others, like my Barbara Walker deck. I absolutely love that deck. It gives me a lot. There are some people that will take several tarot decks, several. And I plan on doing that to all of my decks once I get organized and packed and when I get back home. All of my decks that are either missing cards or, something like that, I plan on just taking all of those decks and just kind of, having them to the point where I can just pull certain cards out of it, and the deck doesn't even have to match. Like, just looking at the pictures of the cards says a lot. So it's not the same. It isn't. And it's very unfair to the spiritual community, because I feel that if somebody is a psychic medium, because everybody is not a psychic and everybody is not a medium. If somebody is factually a psychic medium, then the spiritual community cannot be bombarded with incorrect, invaluable information and not being able to distinguish the two. We have to be able to distinguish it, because, yeah, there are people that are mediums, there are people that are witches, there are people that are shamans that are experiencing mental illness for some reason. I know that myself, and I have suffered from a mental illness. I actually used to have anxiety. I don't have anxiety anymore. I've had people trying to cause anxiety, but I don't have anxiety. Anxiety is something that I actually healed from. Okay. And I actually, years and years ago, I suffered short term from agoraphobia. And I think that, this happened when I was in my 20s, because I think that my mind was literally trying to develop my psychic gifts. And so for a while, the world was very overwhelming to me. Um, then, of course, there have been traumas that I've suffered. In fact, there was a deep trauma that I suffered back in my hometown, which is one of the reasons why I feel that I needed to get away for a while from my hometown. Now I'm able to go back. I wasn't hurting anybody. I just needed to take some time to be able to sit back and work through that trauma, because I was actually date raped at a young age. It was a very scary experience because the person used psychological coercion to get what he wanted out of me. I was in a dark place, a dark park with this person. I was about maybe, I think I was probably like 16 years old. And it was very traumatizing. And when I first moved, when I left my hometown, um, I wasn't having any anxiety prior to leaving my hometown, but then I had an experience because a family member didn't want me to leave and go to Lawrence. And so that triggered a little bit of anxiety to the point where like I had a hard time driving just around that little small city. Um but then when I got to Georgia, when I got even further away, there's been a time frame where I have not had a vehicle and I have had to ride with strangers. You know what I'm saying? And that was very difficult for me, added with dealing with a problematic relationship with somebody that kind of prevented me from getting a vehicle at the time, not because of financial reasons, but just because of, me feeling like that person was going to make sure that I had transportation. And then there was times where they didn't provide that transportation. So, and so it's a long story with that. But and the reason why I bring that up is because for a while I had a really hard time trusting people. And I still don't necessarily trust people. I trust my spirits. I know that they are going to watch after me. I know that they are not going to allow anything to happen to me. So I'm not worried about that. But for a while, I would have the worst anxiety if I would go too far away from my house. And that was mainly because I felt like my children were under attack. Because my children were under attack, I was not hallucinating that. There have been many, many, many witnesses to my children being threatened, right? So, but the main aspect of it was me dealing with the trauma from that date rape. It was awful. Okay. And so I spoke about this maybe last year or in 2022 to where I started healing from that situation. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessarily that it caused any mental illness. It just trauma doesn't always have to cause paranoia or delusions or anything like that. It just kind of caused me to have a lot of emotional, like, well, how do I describe it? It caused me to have a lot of emotional fears. And then, the people that I've been associated with while in Georgia did not help me heal whatsoever. Like, but people don't always have to help you heal. That's not everybody's job, is to help you heal. The best thing for you to do is to self heal with the assistance of someone like me. So I didn't need for him to help me heal, but he definitely was not helping. I felt like he made the healing process slower. A lot of the things that was happening made it slower. Otherwise, I probably would have moved back to my hometown in 2020. I'm not even going to lie to y'all because that would have been the best thing for me. Okay. But anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. Being a psychic medium and the experiences that you have as a psychic medium is not the same as a schizophrenic episode. It is not. Okay. Someone that is a psychic medium is experiencing the empowerment of, you know, understanding, deep understanding. Someone that's experiencing a schizophrenic episode, yes, I have looked at a lot of different videos on this. And there's this one video in particular of this lady that shares her psychotic episodes where she's just like her face is contorting, her face is changing, and she's just like, you know, but to me, I felt like when I was looking at it that she was being possessed is what I felt. Okay. So that's not to say that a person that is schizophrenic can't experience something spiritual, but the experiences that they are having with like the auditory hallucinations, the same experiences are not being bestowed upon psychic mediums. None of us would ever describe it that way. um in fact, it's more of a soft type of thing. It's very, very subtle. It's not loud. It's not obnoxious. Even when I come across a negative spirit, because as a witch, I have had people invoke negative spirits on me. Okay. I have had that happen. And when these negative spirits come to me, they're not screaming at me. They're not screaming at me. They're not telling me to hurt myself or other people. They're not doing that. Okay. What my experiences with negative spirits is how my body picks up on them. And keep this in mind that a lot of us psychic mediums are experiencing things that are far enough in advance to where we can do something about it. Like, for example, if I get any kind of vision or insight of a negative spirit coming to me, it's usually several weeks, if not several months in advance. Okay. It's not just at that moment, it's merely that sight that you see. Yes, if I'm somewhere, yes, I can pick up on spirits. Yes, I can see them, but you don't see them with your eyes like you see them with your spiritual eye, which is very, very different. Okay, it's very, very different. So and then another way that that psychic mediums see spirits is through animals. um Either cats, dogs, or either spiders. Even spiders, like I had a spider. I don't know where all these spiders are coming from all of a sudden, but it just came down on its web and was just like kind of sitting there, like right in front of me. And of course, I have this thing about spiders. I don't like spiders, but the first thing that I want to do is kill it. So I clapped it with my hand. You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Bap, you gotta go," because I don't. You never know. It could be a black widow or something, one of those brown spiders. So I don't do spiders like that. But we can sense that there's a spirit in that spider, and I could definitely sense that there was a spirit in that spider. Um, and I got rid of it pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Because so the spiritual community needs to set the bar higher on what it is that we are accepting as far as certain things. If you are schizophrenic, you're just schizophrenic. Okay. And that's just all it is to it. A psychic medium's experience is going to be very different. What I was getting ready to describe to you guys, however, though, was even if negative energy or a bad spirit was to be in my presence, right? So the way that my body tells me, the way that my spirits tell me, or whatever it is, however you describe it, the way that they tell me that a bad spirit is upon me is I can have various symptoms of it to know and to be aware that some negative stuff is either there or either headed towards me. So this can range from feeling very tense, feeling very tight in my throat, feeling very tight in my forehead. My forehead will get very tight. Um I will feel like sometimes, and it depends because sometimes this is a good thing and sometimes it can be a bad thing, but it'll just feel like my scalp, like all of the hairs on my scalp are raising up. Um, it'll just be this awful feeling of dread that I will have that something is coming. You know what I'm saying? Or either something is there. Now, how do I tell that? How can I tell that something is there? Well, I always have candles going. So it depends on like sometimes I'll sense something and I'll look at a candle and the candle flame might be flipping and flopping and going all over the place. One of the ways that I know that I don't need to have a black candle lit is if I light that candle and I light it and it goes out. Like if I have a black candle that I've lit and I've lit it for a specific purpose to like maybe possibly get rid of bad energy or to banish something, somebody's intention, somebody's negative energy, and that black candle flame goes out. Most of the time it is because the energy is gone and I don't need to keep the flame going. However, there was some candles that I burned and I actually put up a video on TikTok and I think I put it on YouTube too. There was some candles burning and you could literally see where the flame was shooting up so high that it was coming above the glass and I thought the glass was going to end up exploding or breaking. So sometimes it possibly could be if you are trying to banish some negative energy, sometimes it could be that your adversary or somebody that you're caught up with some kind of crap with, which I hate. Not too many authentic witches would even feel the need to just be sending out random spirits to people, but there are some, and I don't think they last long. I don't, I'm just being honest. Um, One thing that I noticed though is that once I get rid of something and I block it out, it can't get back in, is what I want to say. Because I was going to say something else, but then I kind of forgot. Uh, I apologize for that. Maybe it'll come back, whatever I was going to say, but it may not be relevant to what I'm talking about. After I had those shooting flames coming out of that black candle, um, a lot of people will say, "Oh my God, I'm concerned about this," and the whole candle turned black. You know what that means when the candle turns black? That means that you got rid of something. That means that you did a good job, for your spirits of that flame, of that fire to make a candle flame stretch like to be like 8 inches long, like you're good. So there's no need to continue to light up candles. Another thing that has came into my life that I can't remember exactly how I stumbled upon it. And I think that this is every psychic medium's like you gotta have it is that asafoetida. It is spelled Asafoetida, asafoetida. They call it devil's dung. Okay. That stuff will wipe out bad spirits or unwanted spirits or spirits that are not supposed to be there so quickly. Okay. So I know a lot of people are like, shh, don't tell nobody, Jamila, because what if you need to send a bad spirit to somebody that is harassing you or like or one of my enemies? Well, guess what? You can't get rid of necessarily a jinn or one of our spirits of the infernal. You can't just get rid of them. Like if Azazel or his minions is tormenting you, he ain't going nowhere. Okay, so we ain't got to worry about that. Because you know what, honestly, and then another thing I was going to say is that if you are at battle or at war with like an extremely negative, like toxic, ignorant person that's just Like, I'm bored, I want to conjure up a bad spirit, or I want they're pretty much what ends up happening with people like that is that they end up screwing themselves. Because if a person gets up every single day and just says, how can I mess with this person using magic, like, that person is going to pretty much mess themselves up. Okay, because you can't be playing around with these spirits. Like, a lot of spirits, they want some kind of offering, they want something in return. And from what I can see, these people will try to do this conjuring of spirits and they won't even offer them anything. Those spirits are not interested in the person. They are interested in water, food, bread, fruit. They want some kind of offering. That's why I was telling y'all, leave a glass of water outside your house to kind of because there's a lot right now, people that are doing all kinds of weird things, conjuring vagabond spirits out of the Bible, conjuring spirits of poverty, spirits of sickness. Those people are screwed. Screwed McGrooge. I'm sorry. And especially being that they're doing it on an unjustified plight, they have no justification in what they're doing, right? So there is a certain code that we have to go by. You can't just be, conjuring stuff, and it's not good. It's not. I don't suggest anybody doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because these spirits, you play around with them, and there is a difference between a spirit and a demon, or a fallen angel is what I call them. There's a difference between a random spirit and a fallen angel, because fallen, random spirits are like ghosts, kind of like, it's like conjuring a ghost against somebody. And you know what I'm saying? Like, they are not very well disciplined, and those particular spirits will turn on the person that conjured them. This is the reason why you don't see me at no, listen, unless it came from a family plot, or either somebody that you know or are familiar with, like your grandmother, your mother, your father, you shouldn't go grabbing random graveyard dirt from people. And I've actually done that before. Like, I've purchased graveyard dirt on the internet. Big mistake. Big mistake. We all make mistakes in magic. Do not purchase graveyard dirt that came from somebody's grave on the internet unless you have purchased it from an experienced practitioner that has already blessed that graveyard dirt and done work with it, or done work on it to specify. Otherwise, just buying random graveyard dirt that somebody went to an old cemetery and got, I wouldn't suggest doing that. It's not necessary, okay? People typically buy graveyard dirt because they want something to end. They want to put an end to something. Some people are buying graveyard dirt because they want somebody to pass away, which is kind of silly if you ask me, but whatever. And so they'll say, oh, I'm going to go to this graveyard, and this is the graveyard of a mental institution. And, these crazy, hazy spirits are going to do something to somebody and drive somebody cray cray. Uh, you know, uh, I'd be careful doing stuff like that. In fact, you can actually make your own graveyard dirt. You can make graveyard dirt. Black salt is a form of graveyard dirt, actually. Black salt kind of does the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Salt is indestructible. And then when you have black salt, you know what I'm saying? Or there is actually a recipe that I came up with, graveyard dirt, which is asafoetida, Bible ashes, and valerian root. You can actually make graveyard dirt. Um, Typically, people want other people's negative stuff to end in their lives. That's what it's for. Okay. So, and then also another thing, haters are going to keep hating. You don't stop the haters, you stop the haters from affecting you. So a lot of people are thinking, well, why does my haters keep hating on me? Why do they keep hating? Why are they saying these things about me? Get out your feelings. Okay. Yeah, we can do something with those people. And most normal people don't stay wrapped up in a beef for years. Most normal people don't. People that are very abnormally abnormal, they will stay obsessed with you for years. And so that's a big difference. Um, but as far as that person actually being able to affect you, that's what you should be more concerned about. You know what I'm saying? And I found that people will say some of the most disgusting, vile, horrible, awful things about you. It's called having defense. Is the things the things that that person said about you, are they really going to affect how you feel about yourself? Are they affecting you financially? Actually, are they affecting you? You know what I'm saying? And you can always ask the cards. You can say, hey, so and so did this. Are they going to affect me financially? Are they going to affect me? And if the answer is yes, then you know that you got work to do. You know what I'm saying? Just like right now, I'm in the middle of doing some Black Mirror work. I'm not concerned about what nobody said about me. I'm not concerned about people. I really ain't. It's no use in practicing magic if you're still a worry wart. Like, you'll be worrying yourself half to death and everything will be fine, is what I tell people. And it always is. It always is. Don't let people use the Jedi mind tricks on you. But back to what I was saying, I think that the spiritual community needs to recognize that, and to say, hey, I am a psychic medium and I'm also a witch, which being a psychic medium and a witch, it has its good points. It's very, very good points because I can see things coming, sometimes several months in advance, a week in advance, several hours in advance. However, sometimes it's annoying because it's a lot of work, which, I'm trying to cut down that work because it's just like, oh my God. So, and, I don't know. A lot of us on YouTube, what, like I was saying to, who I consider to be a friend and a brother of mine, I was saying to him the other day on his show, I was saying to him, I was like, we are YouTubers. We are basically celebrities, but we don't have celebrity money. And that freaking sucks. Being seen as a celebrity or treated or harassed and stalked as a celebrity, but you don't have the celebrity money. And you know what? That sucks, man. Like, and that's not fair, and we have the right to be in social media just like anybody else. And you got people out there that are literal haters. They want to make your social media experience as difficult as possible. And so they will treat you like a celebrity, but an actual real celebrity that has a real stalker, can afford to have a private investigator. They can afford to have a bodyguard. They can afford to get an attorney to take somebody down. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's just absolutely insanity. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I'm glad, especially in the presence of the dark web, y'all need to know that y'all can go to places like Experian and stuff like that, and y'all can purchase insurance on you guys' names if your identity is being stolen or compromised and things of that nature. I don't know. I just felt like somebody out there needed to know that. But you do have to have the insurance coverage prior to the incident that happened because, you know, so you can be insured for up to 5 million. I wouldn't suggest trying to do no schemes and scams. Maybe that's why they don't necessarily advertise that you can buy that kind of insurance because of course the scam artists are gonna come. Oh, let's set up something to where something happens and then I'll get paid, like, so then maybe that's why they don't just advertise it like that. So anyway, being a psychic medium is not that. It's not a hallucination. You're not hearing voices. You don't have auditory hallucinations. It's not like that. Communication with the dead is not like that at all. In fact, the dead, they strangely enough, they are whispering. You can barely hear them. Even sometimes with our spirit guides, you can barely hear them. You have to really, really, really. That's why it's a good thing to where if you're going to meditate or do a ritual or invoke a spirit, it's really usually a good idea to go ahead and form a circle. It doesn't have to necessarily be candles, like being surrounded by candles, even though I like to do that. But forming that circle does tend to put you in a quiet place to where you can actually pick up on what they're saying. Anyway, I wanted to come and make that distinction for you guys. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Um, I had to go to the little girl's room real quick. I wanted to come and make that distinction about that because as somebody that has spiritual gifts, that I've been having all of my spiritual gifts under control since I was a kid. Like I was already reading minds by the time I was 7 or 8 years old. And I'm not going to talk about my other spiritual gifts because, it's just not kosher for me to do that. You know, there is a difference, and the experience is very, very different. And I think that it is extremely disrespectful to speak about our spiritual gifts as if we are mentally ill, or as if we are delusional. But I can see why. I can understand why. Totally can understand why. Because there's so many different opinions, attitudes, behaviors uh, that have shown up. And people in general don't really know how to take things with a grain of salt. You can't assume that just because somebody else is a diagnosed schizophrenic, that all psychic mediums are diagnosed schizophrenics. No, we are not. In fact, we're not schizophrenic at all, and we do not have the same experiences as someone that is a schizophrenic. I think schizophrenia is the one that is related to psychic mediums. And then the we get accused a lot of being bipolar. Empaths do. Okay. And I think that empaths, in order for you guys to live a life with integrity and dignity, I feel like empaths really, really, really need to, and as well as psychic mediums, need to deal with people that have that integrity, that have that dignity, that are not lying to the spiritual community saying, oh, I was hearing voices and went to the doctor, and I didn't want to take the medication even though I was having loud hallucinations, and I diagnosed myself as being a psychic medium. No, you're not. You are having symptoms of schizophrenia for whatever reason. It could be a spiritual reason, but your symptoms of schizophrenia has nothing to do with your psychic medium gifts. In fact, what that means is that if you are a psychic medium and you're having symptoms of schizophrenia, that you don't have your spiritual gifts in check, is what that means. It's a possibility. Or you just could be a psychic medium that for some reason you have that particular mental illness. Because I think that what it does is it scares people off a lot. It stigmatizes psychic mediums. A lot of the stigmatization that is happening is not cool. It's not. Whereas you got to understand that most of us that do communicate with the dead, there are certain things that we do. We typically will have our backup available so that, like, if we open that door and allow that communication with that spirit, we have to make sure that we have some kind of defense, okay, protection for us, for our family, for whoever is in the area, for the client. And then also, a lot of us use candles to communicate. I know that I use candles a lot to communicate, or to connect me with a spirit. And that's pretty much what candles do. Candles will connect you with a spirit either for communication or either for manifestation. Manifestation can either be banishing something, clearing something, transmuting something, transforming something, or even bringing something towards you. So, I think it's been a lot of crud that has been created for some reason in the spiritual community, and it sucks. It does. It sucks. And I don't like it. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Also, another thing, just FYI, I can actually sense when someone else has like a mental illness, or because I'm an empath, I can sense what that person is going through. I can sense that. So I can sense when somebody is having some kind of psychological episode versus if they are having a spiritual experience. And I can tell you that it's not loud, hey, I'm a spirit here and I'm talking to you. Do you hear me talking to you? I ain't trying to tell you something. That they don't talk like that. They don't talk like that. Now, here lately, there's been a lot of voice boxes used for communication. I don't doubt those voice boxes. I don't necessarily need those, because if I want to communicate with a spirit, I'm going to do it without any kind of technology. Okay. Um, but I guess people can be confused about it as well because of that. When a psychic medium is communicating with a spirit, it's it's such a subtle whisper. Even if it is a negative spirit, even if a spirit has a negative message, it's not like loud and obnoxious. It's not. It's a whisper. That's literally how and it's not a whisper in a sense to where you can hear something whispering in your ear. No, 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 no. It's more so a sixth sense. It's like somebody is saying words to you, but they're not actually saying words to you. Like it's just something to where, like, for example, um, if a spirit wanted to say, you know, go downstairs, there's a key in a box. You're not going to hear them say, go downstairs, there's a key in a box. You're going to more so pick up through extra sensory perception that they are saying that to you, but it's rarely said in words. It's rarely said in words. Sometimes people, their perception will come up as, it's very difficult to explain the process of how it works. It really is, but it's very different. It is. It's very different from a, like a paranoid delusion episode or something like that. It's very different. And to be honest with you, I have had, I myself, I'm going to tell y'all straight up and down that I myself have been a victim of spell work that was done to cause me to have some kind of paranoid delusion. And I'm going to get into detail about that right now. Hold on a second, guys. So I have had visions sent to me that was meant to cause me to act out. And I've known that the vision is being sent to me because I can see people's intentions. Of course, I'm a high priestess. I'm not gonna fall for the okey doke, right? So I've actually been dating somebody before, and somebody was like, they knew what they were doing, and they were sending this vision of me that this person was cheating on me. Like, and the way that they did it was so cold to where they actually also made my readings come up incorrectly, as far as around that person. But it was very real for me to even be thinking that way, for me to even be thinking about that. You could tell that somebody was doing some kind of head work on me. so that I could flip out and be like, oh, you doing this and you doing that and you sleeping with this person. And that actually happens a lot. I can honestly say that that was a spiritual induced delusion. And people will do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why somebody would do something like that, but people will do things like that. I guess they just don't have anything else better to do. But I think that if you are dealing with schizophrenia or bipolarism or even narcissism, because narcissism is a mental illness that is very frustrating to everybody except for the narc. The narcissist, in a lot of ways, needs to feel uncomfortable. They need to be, a narcissist needs to know what they're doing, but they will do anything. Narcissistic people will say anything, they will do anything, and they just have no emotion or consciousness about what they did. It's always, you did this to me. No, I didn't do that. I'm not going to acknowledge that. It's very bizarre, but if you are somebody that feels as though you have spiritual gifts. Your spiritual gifts, that's not it. That's not your spiritual gift. It's not. Because when you look at narcissistic people, they do things very falsely. They do a lot of false things, right? And they even experience false love. So narcissistic people are starving. They are so starvalicious and thirsty because they block out anything good. They block out everything, every good thing. Sometimes an emotional trigger can be a good thing, it can be healing to them. And they just block out everything because they want to avoid everything, right? They want to do what they want to do, but then they want to avoid everything. Whereas, somebody like myself who's a Cancer sun, that is like I'm literally an expert on healing, literally. Uh and I've sat here and self-healed myself from past life trauma, from current life trauma, and it brings up on such an amazing feeling to heal from that. And they're just like, they're not healing. They're not. Narcissistic people, I feel more sorry for narcissists. I do, especially as a witch. Knowing that narcissistic people, they can do what they do. They can be very aggravating, but a narcissistic person is not going to beat me at a spiritual war. A narcissistic person is not going to beat me in court. A narcissistic person is going to lose to a high priestess witch and then go somewhere and cry about it and play victim. That's exactly what they do. So I don't have to necessarily fear them. I don't fear narcissistic people. I don't feel that they are in a state of empowerment. I feel that narcissistic people are absolutely disempowered. And so a lot of people, they do give narcissistic people a lot of power, and I don't think it's smart to do that. But it is what it is. Ooh, that ponytail at the top of my head was like, okay, guys, that's pretty much it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Y'all have a good and happy Tuesday. Y'all have a good Tuesday. Have a happy Tuesday, and I will see y'all later. Okay. All right. Oh, also make sure y'all hit that thumbs up, subscribe, like, share. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Bye bye.